Okay, today we're doing our Cougar 2018 311 RES. This unit is equipped with two different awnings on it, one on the side of the slide which is controlled from the inside. The main slide is controlled through a remote along with the slide outs, the front jacks, the leveling system and all, which we'll be going over today. In order to get into your remote, you push in a code. This one is just 0000. Then you come up with a screen here that has your lights, your level, bedroom slides. If you hit next, then it'll bring up what's left in your options. In order to get the slide out, we go to awning, or the awning out, we go to the awning, and then just simply push the button and it rolls out. Now, as you're rolling the awning out, you want to pay attention to it, because on the end of the tube with the electric awnings, we can roll too far, where the canvas will actually be below the top of the tube, which creates a gutter effect on top of the awning, and it will hold water. So if you do roll it too far, simply just hit the button and back it up until the canvas rolls right over the top, so that water will sheet right off the front of it. If we want to create a rain runoff on this particular awning, we just simply pull down here, which lowers our end, and this creates a place for the rain to go and to run off, and then we can direct it out of the way of our path as far as where we're going in the campground. Before we get ready to put it back up, we do want to straighten that back out and leave it up there. This awning is designed so that if it gets too much weight in the middle of it, rain, it will dump itself off. With this one, as well as with the old ones, you want to make sure that if you have a bad storm, high winds, or if it's a lot of rain, go ahead and put it up, and that way you don't have to worry about any damage happening to your awning. Let's go ahead and roll this back in. Now, your rear awning is also controlled through the inside. It's got a button inside the slide that controls it, but it is not controlled by your remote. Okay, 110 outlets down here on the side so we can plug things in underneath the awning. You have your LED lighting underneath the awning plus your speakers, so you can listen to your music out here. Now, inside you see a light flashing on and off, and that's because it's equipped with a motion sensor in it. The switch on it is a 3-position switch. One way it'll just stay on. If you flip it in the other direction, it's going to kick on as it sees motion, and in the middle it's off. We have a place in here to hang your TV, a cable hookup or for the antenna, and then 110 outlets down below so that we can plug in. LP tank is in here, and then we have another one on the other side which has your controls, which we'll be looking at in a minute. Up underneath the nose, we have the spare tire. We have another motion censored light up there. We have the spare tire in here, and you want to take care to note that none of these units come with either a jack or a lug wrench, so you need to prepare for that ahead of time in case you would have problems. Place for the battery right here. This is going to be a deep cycle wet cell battery, so we are periodically going to check the water inside that battery as we're using it. You also want to remember in a storage situation to disconnect the battery, because if you don't, the electronics inside the unit pull off of it at all times and they'll run the battery dead fairly quick. These jacks on this system, as far as your front jacks, each have their own motor, and that's in with the leveling system on this unit. Over here we have switches, docking light, which is the front light, or the little white light on the front of it, and then the side lights up there too. This one has a switch underneath it so we can turn it on and off. Over here we have information. This has your weight ranges, VIN, your tire size, and maximum tire pressure right here, so you don't have to get down and look at the side of the tire. This is our other LP tank in here, and if you'll look right up here, you have a lever in here, and you have the sight gauge right here. So this lever is flipped to the back, which means that this is my main tank. So what's going to happen is we're going to draw for this tank first and use it until it's completely empty. Then in the sight gauge up there, it's going to show red, and then it's going to start drawing off of the other tank as a reserve. If we want to change that and use the other tank first, we simply flip the lever on top to the other side, and then that's our main tank over there. This compartment door is equipped with a tie back on it right here so that it stays lower than your slide out. That way we don't cause damage there. Inside we have storage down underneath in here. We have our area to hook up our city water connect, winterize, and a sewer flush in here too. So if I'm going to winterize this, I'm going to hook in to this valve right here. I'm going to put just a short piece of hose into a gallon jug of RV antifreeze, flip my lever up on my bypass right there, turn my winterize on there, and then I can suck antifreeze through the system right here without having to take any hoses off my water pump or anything like that. So it's a little more convenient to be able to do all of that right here. Now I do have a faucet up here on top. We do have a coiled hose that plugs into this, the same as like an air chuck fitting, and we can use it as a sprayer or like a garden hose out there. Some people will take that from here and they'll go down into their sewer flush so that they can rinse their sewer tank out with onboard water or water out of the freshwater tank, and at that point you could even use hot water to rinse it out with too. Down below we have our gate valves for our dump station, gray and black tank, and we have our termination valve down here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a hose, which we'll have to get separate from the unit, and we're going to hook it on, and it's going to go down into the ground. Then we're going to pull our black tank valve first, let it run completely out, flush our tank out, and then shut the black tank off. And then we're going to pull our gray tank. We're going to let it run completely out, and we're going to shut it off. Now what we're doing here, by doing the black before the gray, we're allowing ourselves to rinse anything left from the black tank out with the gray water. By shutting the black tank off, we're guaranteeing we're not going to backwash one tank into the other. After we've done this, certain units do have a long run off of the end of the tank, so you may want to wait a few minutes before you take your hose off and just let that, what we call residual drip in there, run out before you disconnect your hose, and then you can put everything up from there. Also in here we have a place to hook a solar panel for storage. Now what this does is it's just a small solar panel that plugs in here, and we set it out, and in a storage situation it'll put a trickle charge back into your unit and help protect the battery. Then we have a cable or satellite hookup right here, and that's going to go to the main TV inside. And then we have our battery disconnect down below. If we have this parked and we don't have it plugged in or our solar panel on there, what we're going to do is we're going to flip this lever to off and pull the key out. And what that does is disconnect the battery from the unit. That way we don't have any of the electronics inside pulling off of our battery. When we're ready to use it again, simply put it back in and just twist it on, and that reconnects the battery to the unit. Inside here we have our leveling system, so if I just simply push on the on-off button, that'll turn it on, and then I can arrow down through my different options. I can go through and see my battery voltage. I can see how far off I am on my tilt and my angles so that I know what I need to do to level. If I arrow on down, I can go into a manual mode. At that point I can physically level it off of my pad over here. Now these all have lights around the outside edges and a green light right in the center. These lights will light up telling me where I'm low. So if I have my left side and my rear lit up, that tells me I'm low on the left side and low in the back. At that point I just push that button or the side button to bring the unit up to where I need to level out. Once I've got it completely level, the green light will come on in the center. Also, after I'm done here, when I've shut this off, if I'm ready to go home and I've done this through the auto level, I can come back in and I can hit left and right at the same time, and that'll bring this back up to where I took it off the truck. Now, two things will knock that out. If I have gone into the manual system, then it's going to knock that place out where it's marked for it to go back on the truck. Or if when this levels, it goes down below center and then comes back up, it's going to knock that out also. So at that point, I would just simply have to push on and hit front, and then I can bring the front back up. If I go too far, I can hit retract in front, and that's going to bring the front end down. After I'm done with it, I just simply shut it off. Now, if I get there and I've taken it off the truck and I want to level out, I'm going to hit on and off, the on-off button, and I'm going to hit auto level, and it'll take care of itself. But you want to make sure on these that it's not an excessive angle, otherwise this system will error out, and then you'll have to go through a set of codes to get it out of the error mode. At that point, you can go ahead and run it normally after you've got it back out of the error. If you do get into a site that has too much of an angle on it, go ahead and put blocks up underneath your tires, and then put additional blocks up underneath your rear jacks, and at that point I can hit the auto level button and it'll finish leveling for me. This is a Suburban water heater. Down here on the left hand side we have a button in here. Right now it's off. If I turn that on, I turn on the 110 volt element that heats the water out here. I have a reset on the 110 side in here so that if I would get a power surge through the park, I can push in here and reset that. I have a reset on the other side, which is 12 volt for the igniter on the LP system, which is controlled from inside, and we'll be seeing that in just a few minutes. Down in the bottom we have our drain plug, and this is a metal drain plug with an anode rod on the back side of it. You can see that. What that is a sacrificial rod. Now inside that, right there in the center, you can see a wire. As the outside material gets ate down to the wire, we're going to keep our eye on it, and that way, once it's 75% of the way used to the wire, we can replace this. Now this one in particular has a weld in the middle of it, so that tells me this is a magnesium rod, which is also coating the inside of our tank, helping protect it since it's a steel tank. So we want to make sure that stays in there until it is 75% of the way down. Now the next anode rod that you get, if it doesn't have the weld on the end of it, it's just a sacrificial rod. Oh, these are also equipped with a pop-off valve. That way if they build up too much pressure, it's going to pop the pressure out through there instead of splitting the tank. Our furnace does get quite hot, so keep all brush pets and children away from that. It will burn all three, so we want to be mindful of that. Also, bug screens on over the furnace and the water heater are good ideas. They're going to keep mud daubers and wasps from getting in there and building nests and causing us problems. Slide outs. Now this is the cable slide. So you see this piece of cable sticking out here. The maintenance on these is relatively low, but it still has some. So what we're going to do is take a piece of cardboard in behind here and spray the exposed cable with some dry lube, and that's going to help protect it against the weather. Then we're going to take rubber conditioner, and we're going to do all of our seals so they stay soft and pliable and last a little bit longer for us. Now this unit is not equipped with slide toppers, but they are a good idea. They're going to keep a lot of brush and debris off the top of your slide. They protect the roof against sun's rays and damage, and they also protect that top seal in a hard driving rain, helping keep it from leaking through. So they are a very good idea. On around we have our refrigerator vents on the back side here, and since this one's in the slide, it has a lower and an upper all in the slide out right there. There's some fans right here in the middle that will draw that through. Now if we get in here to clean or do maintenance, we want to make sure that this black hose is stuck out through the side here like it is now. That's a condensation drain. So we want that moisture outside, not inside. Tire pressure and lug nuts have been checked for you. You want to check your lug nuts in 50 miles, again in 100 miles, and what we're doing is seating the rim to the hub, so that we're going to make sure it's not coming loose, and then just check your lug nuts and your tire pressure every trip after that. Inside the center of the tire, you have a grease zert. Now the grease zerts are nice, but you want to take care not to over grease. What I would rather see you do is go by your packet of information, and it will give you a recommended mileage for you to pack your bearings. If you take that to a service facility such as ours, then they're going to document that. That way, if you would ever have a warranty claim on on one of your axles, then you got that documented, and it's going to be easier to take care of. If you do use the grease zerts, the best way to do that is to go by your recommended mileage. If you're going to go over that, then maybe put a couple of shots in each hub until you can get it in and get it taken care of through your facility. On back here, we have our fresh tank fill. Now this is for water we're going to carry with us, so we're simply going to fill this till our monitor panel says full, and at that point we're going to stop, and then we can draw off of that tank using our water pump. In the back, this one is also equipped with a bike rack here. It'll fold down. There's a bar in the center to fasten the bikes to, and you can take those with you. Now this is a 50 amp service cord on this unit, and it is detachable. It fastens right into the back side, so we can take that off and store it in a storage compartment, and it's totally out of the way for travel. Cougar is Keystone, so it has an alpha roof on the top of it. When you go to inspect your roof, you want to do that twice a year. Spring and fall is usually the best times, after you've been camping and also after you've been through the cold and the heat of winter. We want to get up there and inspect all seals and make sure that there's no cracking or peeling or anything going on that might cause a leak in the roof. We're going to use self-leveling through the center, and again we're using alpha sealer because it is an alpha roof, and no matter what camper you buy, you want to make sure you use the corresponding sealer with that roof. If you get up there with silicone and other products like that, it's not going to stick to the roof. It might look good, but it's not going to stick to the roof, and then you're going to have leaks even though you've tried to take care of it. So use the corresponding sealer with the roof. Use self-leveling down through the center around all the vents, and what that's going to do is kind of flow out and cover any cracks or anything that we need to down through the center, and then they make a non-sag that goes down the side where the trim and the roof meet. That way it doesn't run down the side of your unit. Other times I'm going to get up there to inspect the roof is if I've been through a hailstorm. I want to inspect all vents and my AC covers and different things like that, and make sure I don't have any holes in them. Also, if I've been under anything low that could poke, stab, or peel that roof back, I want to know about it right away so that I can get it taken care of. Now, factories will guarantee that sealer for about 90 days, and after that, it's your responsibility to take care of it. Now, it is a good sealer. It lasts longer than that, but what they're doing is if you don't inspect the roof, by the time you realize you have a leak, there's going to be major damage, and then you're going to have more to fix than if you'd just gotten on the roof, inspected it, and taken care of the cracks. Okay, right by the door we have a fire extinguisher right here. It has a little green button on top of it, so we're going to push down on that. It should pop right back up. If it ever fails to do that, throw it out and get a new one. That means it's bad. Also by the door over on this side, we have our motion sensor light, so that when you walk in, it'll kick on. That way you don't have to walk into a dark RV. Down below is our LP detector. Now the LP detector is hooked into the unit so that as long as we have power to the camper, we have power to our LP. But the smoke detector in the ceiling and the carbon monoxide detector on the wall in there, they have their own batteries and need to be checked just like home. The LP detector down here is low because LP is heavier than air, so it will sink. If that happens, it's going to set that off. It's going to sound a lot like a smoke alarm, and it's going to have a red light glowing on it. At that point, don't flip any switches on or off. That's a spark, a chance to light the gas. Go ahead and clear out of the unit. Leave the door open, shut your tanks off at the front, and then get away from it, let it air out, and come back and find your problem when it's safe. On inside this slide out, we have various different light switches over here for the lights in the ceiling, and also our awning control for the awning that's on the side of the slide here. Now the main awning is controlled again through the panel up there or through our remote control. Over on the wall we have our lift for our TV, so that to bring it up or bring it down, we just simply push the button here. If we have it down, then we can enjoy the view out of the back. Then when we want to watch TV, we simply lift it here and we can control it with a remote. Our DVD, CD, AM, FM also has a remote to it, as well as the other TV in the bedroom. Now all those remotes are going to have their own batteries to them, but the remote that goes to the Slideouts and the jacks has a cord to recharge off of 110, so you don't have to replace the batteries in it. Fireplace again has another remote with it, and we can set it. It does have heat on it, and it will put out a little bit. Now if it gets down to winter type temperatures, at that point we will have to kick over and use the furnace, but on a day that might be just a little bit cool, we can heat with our fireplace. Okay, stove right here. In order to get into it, we're going to flip this cover back and then back again. Our knobs down here, we have a spark igniter for. These knobs go to the top burners, so the center one to the center one. We're going to turn to high light and then hit our spark igniter until it lights. Now if that doesn't happen within a minute's time, we're going to stop and we're going to hit our vent on our microwave up here and vent that out for a minute, and then we can try again. That way we stay safe. And again, LP is heavier than air, so it will pool down into there, much like your gas grill can kind of poof up at you, so we want to be careful about that and be safe. Each knob up here goes to the corresponding burner on the sides, and then we have our oven off to the side. Now the oven has a pilot light down underneath, right where my finger's at. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the grill lighter, we're going to hold it there lit, and we're going to take our knob up here and push it to pilot on and push in. We're going to hold that till it's lit, then we're going to hold it an additional 10 seconds so the thermocouple heats up underneath. Slowly let out, make sure it stayed lit, then we can go into our numbers and bake. Now after we're done with that, we can stick this back to pilot. If we have something else we want to fix within that meal, get the ingredients ready, put it back in, go to our new temperature, and bake that. But once we're done, we do want to make sure we get it turned completely to off, because these are not designed to run 24/7 like you are at home. Refrigerator. The controls are inside the door right here, on off right here. That just simply turns everything on or everything off for storage. We have a button on here, it says auto and it says gas. Inside here we're going to find a little period up there at the top, and when I push it, it changes. Right now it's in the auto side, which means it's automatically going to take 110 if it can get it. If it can't, it'll automatically light itself on LP gas. If I hit that button again, it comes over here to the other side, indicating we're just strictly LP only, and at this point it won't take 110. It's just going to light on LP and go with that, no matter if we're plugged in or not. The third one over is our temp set. If I hit it, you see the numbers form up here, 1 to 5, 1 being the warmest setting, 5 being the coldest. 4 to 5 is usually where, or 3 to 4 is usually where they set on these as far as use. Now, these will take 8 to 10 hours to cool down, so we want to make sure we start the night before and get it cold enough for our food there. And from there we can run LP gas going up and down the road. Now we can do that on either one of these settings. Auto setting will automatically light itself on LP, so we can use that to run down the road with. You do want to remember though, if you stop for fuel, that you have gas fumes going there and an open flame on the back side of your refrigerator, so you're going to want to come in ahead of the pumps, shut this off, pull up to the pumps, get your fuel, pull away from the pumps, and then turn that back on for safety. Inside here we have our monitoring system. So our buttons up here, we have battery fresh, and it says black tank 1, black tank 2, gray, and galley. Now this one's not equipped with 2 bathrooms, so we're only going to use black tank 1 on that. Black tank 2 is always going to show empty, so you can ignore it and not worry about it. When we want to know what the levels are in there, say battery, if I push that button, you'll see the lights light up over here, and they go from empty to full. Full is indicating on battery that it's charging, and that's going to happen when we're plugged into 110 or connected to the tow vehicle with a hotline going from the tow vehicle to the camper. Fresh tank, as we hit the button on it, as it fills up, it'll light the lights the same. Right now it's indicating empty, as well as black and gray tanks up here. Galley is simply kitchen area. It's a second gray tank, but it's the kitchen area is what galley means. Water pump right here. So if I want to draw water off of my freshwater tank, I simply turn it on here, and then as I turn the faucet on and off, the pump will kick on and off as needed, so I don't have to keep hitting the switch up here. If I'm working off my city water, I don't have to have my water pump on. I'm going to work off of the pressure in the park. Do use a pressure regulator, and I like to see the inline filters that go on the hoses. That way I can filter water coming into my camper through the city water, or if I fill my freshwater tank, I can also filter water going into it. Water heater up here has two switches. Now we had a switch on the outside on our water tank itself. That one would need to be on, plus this one, before I'm going to get my 110 to work. Now on the other side I have one that says LP gas. If I turn it on, there's a little red light off to the side that's going to come on. Once that goes out, that means it's trying to light, and as long as it lit, it'll stay off. If it comes back on, that means it failed to light. It'll try 3 times to light itself before it locks out. If I want to try another 3 additional times, I simply just turn it off, turn it back on, it starts the process over. Much after a couple of tries, if it hasn't lit by that point, I may want to go out and find out why it didn't light, which is usually spiders or small bugs have gotten into the burner tube, causing it to not let the gas flow through. Down below I have my ceiling lights. My pendant lights are my lights over my island. Floodlight is on the outside, which these are commonly hooked into the LED lights underneath the awning, so that may be what that one is right there. And then a light down below the step. I have slide controls right here. That's a blank, but I have my 3 slides right here and my awning in the center. So if I want to operate those without use of my remote control, I can do that in here, or say that if the remote control battery is dead, I still have manual controls that I can go to. I have a hanger here for the remote, so I can hang it up right next to there. That's going to keep it where I always know where it's at. The remote is a nice feature because you can take it out and around the camper with you, and that way you can watch for trees or posts or anything that might be in the way of you sliding a slide in or out. Down below we have our thermostat. It's just touch controlled. So if you hit the mode button or the on-off button right there, it's going to light up. Then the next time you hit it, it's going to come on and say fan. And you can use your arrows up or down here to change it from high or low settings. Hit it again, and that's going to go into cool or air conditioner. And at that point, I can set my temperature over here off of my arrows. One more time is into the furnace, and a 4th time is just going to turn everything off. Now when I'm into my cool mode or my air conditioner, if I've went into the fan beforehand and turned it to high or low, that's going to keep that fan running all the time, continuously. If I put it in the auto mode before I go to cool, that's going to let everything kick on and off with the thermostat that's in here. Off to the side, I have my vent control in the kitchen here. I have a place here to turn it on and off in my fan speed. So if I hit it once, it's going to open the lid and turn it on. And then the more times I hit it, it goes through the fan speeds. If I want to turn everything off, I hit the bottom one there, and that shuts the lid and turns the fan off. If I would like the vent open without the fan on, I can simply hit the up arrow, and then it's just going to lift the lid only, or hit the bottom when it's going to close the lid only. Down below we have the toilet. It carries a low level of water for travel. So before we sit down to take care of business, we want to bring the water level up. That way water and gravity is going to drag the contents of the bowl down when we flush. The way we're going to do that is with our pedal right here. If I push it halfway down, that's going to add water. If I push it all the way down, that flushes it, and then when I release it, it resets itself at the lower level. As far as chemicals, we want to make sure our chemicals say breaks down waste and tissue or digester, and we're going to put those straight down through the toilet into the tank. After that, just add about a gallon of water in there, and that's going to activate the chemical. Then as it fills up, it'll break down the waste and tissue in there. Also, we're going to use RV toilet paper. RV toilet paper is made to break down with those chemicals, so that's all we really want to use in the system. That way we don't plug our pipes with toilet paper. Back in behind, we have a GFI controlled outlet right here. This has the reset right in the middle of it. Now this is going to control anything water can touch, kitchen, bathroom, or outside. So if you have a power problem in one of those areas, this is where I want to come to check it. Our shower door right here does have a lock on it. So for travel, we want to make sure that's locked into place, otherwise this door may shift back and forth and either come off the track or bust. So make sure it is locked before travel. The shower head has a shutoff in the handle right here, so we can set our controls down below and turn it on and off from here, but we do want to make sure that we turn it away before we turn it back on, and then turn it back towards ourselves because hot and cold will separate in the line on it. We do have an escape window in the bedroom here, so if we would run into trouble and need to get out of here in a hurry, we can pull our handles here, and then this window is going to swing out and let us exit through there. Now it is also equipped with a screen. We can open that for ventilation and use it that way also. Carbon monoxide detector is above it. Has a test button up there. This also again has its own batteries in it, so we are periodically going to check it just like you would at home. Inside the closet, we have hookups for a washer and dryer in here. So if we remove this shelf, we can put a combination washer dryer in there and hook into our hot and cold water and drain right inside the closet there. Closet doors, before you travel, you want to make sure you pull them all the way over till they lock into place, both of them. That's going to keep them from sliding back and forth and busting. Now there is a little bit of storage up underneath the bed here. Put blankets and things like that into also. This unit is equipped for a second AC up here, so we can wire in through our plate right here and put that air conditioner in here. And there's also a sticker on the wall of the new ones for our thermostat, so that you can use a ducted system in here.